Removing a face-up from a BJD can be intimidating, especially if you haven't done it before. But I promise it's not as tricky as you might think. Hi, welcome to the Teeny Tinkers channel. I make ball-jointed doll and craft-related content. Sometimes I also make helpful little videos like this, so I hope this helps. Okay, today I'm going to be removing a couple ball-jointed doll face-ups with non-acetone polish remover. Now, this isn't the only method, so while I do that, we'll be chatting about what I'm doing and also about best practices and materials to use and what to avoid. The materials I'm using for my method are non-acetone nail polish remover. In my case, I'm using Mineral Fusion, a melamine sponge, aka a magic eraser, but you can buy a ton of melamine sponges for way cheaper than you can buy like 4 magic erasers. Non-oil-based soap. I'm just using some plain old dish soap and warm water. First things first, we have to get them ready. So as the queen says, off with their heads. So heads are easily removed by pulling the S-hook back through the next slot. Once that's out of the way, move your doll's body to the side to watch, or, not watch, and we'll remove the eyes and eyelashes. The lashes should just pull off with some light pressure, especially strip lashes like these. I just realized how gruesome this sounds, so sorry if anybody not in the hobby is walking by and is generally concerned for you, so sorry about that. So on to the removal. Okay, it's pretty simple. Some people even say they can use a dry magic eraser to remove face-ups, but that's quite tedious and can produce a lot of dust. Magic erasers or melamine sponges are essentially just micro sanders. So I use this non-acetone, very important, polish remover to get it off easier. I get some of the polish remover onto the sponge and I put the cap back on right away so I'm not breathing in the fumes, because even though they're not acetone, it's not pleasant to breathe. Then use small circular motions, which will slowly remove the face-up. Most face-ups are under 2 to 3 layers of sealant, so it can take a few minutes before you start seeing the paint come off. But once the sealant breaks, it's pretty smooth sailing. For tricky spots like eye corners, ears, and lip creases, use a corner of the sponge, a soft bristled toothbrush, which you don't plan on using in your mouth, scratch that, not don't plan, that you will not use in your mouth, or a Q-tip soaked in polish remover to really get in there. Once it looks clean, put it in warm, soapy water. Again, use non-oil-based soap as oils can damage resin. Alright, after the first go, I noticed some residue from the initial sealant layers are still on here. You see the matte spots when I turn her? If that happens, you give it another quick run with the sponge and then wash again with soap and water. It is so important to remove all of the polish remover from the head, as even though there's no acetone in here, it is still very abrasive and can weaken the resin if left on. And these dolls are expensive, so not a risk I want to take. Also, if you're planning on painting your doll again, let it fully dry before starting, since even a teeny tiny bit of moisture can make your sealant go super wonky super fast. So that's what works for me. There are other materials you can use to remove a face-up, but first, let's go over what to avoid while I remove the second face-up. When removing a face-up from a BJD, it is crucial to avoid certain materials and chemicals that can damage the resin or vinyl. Here's the materials you should not use. I think the obvious one right away you'll think is acetone or acetone-based products. Acetone can dissolve or damage the resin, cause surface pitting, so like little holes, cloudiness, or even structural damage. That's that whole weakening the resin thing. You also want to avoid strong solvents like paint thinners, industrial solvents, or turpentine. I know it might seem obvious to use a paint thinner to remove the paint, and on its own, that makes sense. There are better things you can do that will not damage your resin. Avoid abrasive tools like metal scrapers, sandpaper unless used with extreme care. Like I said, melamine sponges are basically micro sanding, but if you get into anything more abrasive than that, you're going to end up with micro scratches. Avoid bleach or bleach-based products. Like the solvents, bleach will weaken your resin, but it can also cause discoloration and degradation, so big avoid. That goes for household cleaners, which also usually include those solvents or bleach. But you also want to avoid ammonia-based cleaners, oven cleaners, and bathroom cleaners. I know this might seem super obvious, but you would be surprised at the things people have put on their dolls. And you can even cause some chemical reactions, which you don't want to be there for that, or breathing that, or anything, so maybe don't. As I mentioned about the soap, you want to avoid oil-based products like baby oil, mineral oil, anything like that. Oils can leave a residue on the resin that's really difficult to wash, and it can also make it hard for sealant to grab on. Also, oil is known to degrade resin over time as well. And lastly, avoid harsh scrubbing tools like hard bristled brushes, scouring pads, or anything like that. Again, obvious, these can scratch the surface and cause those micro abrasions or scratches. And especially on darker resin, this can look super bad, so just avoid. So what are my recommended materials to remove a face-up safely? Obviously, non-acetone nail polish remover. It doesn't have to be the one I'm using, I just really like this one. Magic erasers, mild soap and water, or non-oil-based soaps and water. If you don't want to use a magic eraser because they can be a little harsh, you can also try using soft cotton pads or a soft microfiber cloth. These are really extra gentle on the resin surface. Unlike the magic eraser, this will not take a face-up off on its own though. I'd also mention soft toothbrushes or Q-tips. These are great options that are not going to scratch your doll. Another cleaning product kind of thing you can use is I've heard people have success with Winsor & Newton brush cleaner. I can't personally attest to that, but that is something I see recommended a lot. Some people do use isopropyl alcohol as well, though I wouldn't do anything above 70%. Maybe if you water it down, I'm not really sure. Again, not recommended by me, but I do know other people do that. All in all, using the right materials and avoiding really harsh chemicals or abrasive tools is super important to getting a face-up off without damaging your doll. Always prioritize gentle, non-damaging methods and test any new product in a small area, maybe like a head cap, to ensure it's compatible with the doll's material. But that's basically it. I hope this video was helpful to anyone who's really kind of just getting into dolls. I know the people who've been here for a while, well, you've been here for a while and you know what to expect, so yeah. If you're already subscribed, thanks so much for subscribing. If you're new here, I hope you like the content and consider subscribing. As always, I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye!